Hey guys, Let's Play here. I just want to say, first and foremost, that I'm really excited that people are enjoying Opera Omnia. I've been playing the game in JP for about a year now, and I've been loving it. But I was really worried that people wouldn't appreciate it that much when it came to coming in global. But the response has been fantastic. I've been loving the comments and interacting with you guys and how much you've enjoyed the game. But I thought one of the things that you get asked on is, I've pulled this weapon for this banner. Is it any good? Is it not? I've been playing the game for so long now. I've used all these characters. I own most of these relics. I think I'm only missing like one or two in my JP account. So I've actually used them in a capacity where I can feel I can give a better review of how these weapons are and how practical they are. So I thought this guide would be like a short-term guide. So I'll be going up until in the mindset of up until the Ramsey event, because after the Ramsey event, that's when things change completely with exclusives or CP35 weapons, and they really improve how characters are. So I thought this guide would be about doing how things are in the short term and how good these weapons are, and how good these weapons are for getting you through the content right now. So, without further ado, let's start. Today's weapon we'll be looking at is Bartz's Chocoblade. Now, Bartz's Chocoblade increases the power of Double Hand. Well, the way you use Bartz is all about breaking or dealing high amounts of brave damage to enemies. And enemies who accumulate lots of brave get wrecked when you use Bartz, because Bartz is so good at doing that. So Bartz is Chocoblade. It makes Double Hand, when you enter Double Hand Plus, really powerful. And it's a weapon that I recommend. I think this is a really good weapon if you do pull it. And I'll be reviewing each weapon on a scale of 1 to 5. I think that'd be quite good. And for me, I consider this weapon 4 out of 5. I think it's a really good weapon, and it absolutely decimates enemies brave. Bartz does come back as a synergy character for the Ico event, and there's another chance to get it then. So if you don't get it now, don't worry. This comes back quite soon. So on that scale, I think this is a good weapon, and overall, if you do get it, be happy. It's a good weapon. The Kikuichimonji. Now, this one improves the power of Edge's shock. Now, this weapon is situational. It's really good for enemies who are weak to lightning, and this weapon does come back as part of the Balthier event, because in the Balthier event, Edge is a synergy character. Shock is amazing for that event, because basically the boss in that event, you really need to be breaking as quickly as possible, because he gets really powerful and he will decimate you if the battle goes on for too long. And Edge for that event is fantastic. He's really good for that. So if you pull his weapon outside of that event, it's okay. It's not amazing. It's decent and it does the job, but it's not something that is like very, very good. So on that scale, I give this weapon a 3 out of 5. But for the event, the Balthier event where Edge is featured, this weapon is easy 5 out of 5. I think it does a good job of absolutely decimating thunder weak enemies. You face a lot of them in that event, and Edge is just good for that. Judgment. King is a kind of really gimmicky character. So basically, with his rapid bullets attack, you basically have a 2-hit range brave attack, and the action delay on that is so good that your next turn comes back really quick. So the whole mindset of King is that you just keep shooting enemies to get a good amount of brave, and then you HP attack. And when you get this weapon, you get an attack boost for 1 turn. So that means that you can keep shooting, and it takes you a short amount of time to get to a high amount of brave before you HP attack. I personally don't think this is a great weapon personally, because when you HP attack, your attack boost only lasts for 1 turn. So that's it. You go back to having no attack boost. And there's only so much you can do. Only so much you can do with King, because the reload only uses once. And after that, you have to go again. And King features an event character in a push event, but I don't think he's that good in that event. Like, Push steals the show in that event. She's so good, at least in my opinion. And I don't think King is that good. He's a nice little sister, but he's not amazing. So for the short term, I think this is an okay weapon, but it's not great even in the event that it's featured in. And for that, I'm giving this weapon 2 out of 5. Quite harsh, I know, but it's not the best weapon. So if you do pull it, and if you don't, unless you get some other good relics, if you do pull it, I would recommend you reroll for something else. The Oritsuru. Okay, in my personal experience, I think this is like the worst weapon on this banner. I don't think there's any relic in the game that's as bad as this. Actually, the whole thing about Yuffie is that she's a very situational, very gimmicky character. So if an enemy has a lot of brave, then you snatch, and then it copies the amount of brave that the boss has to Yuffie, and in that sense, it's kind of good. But the problem you run into is that if you're facing the kind of enemies that get a lot of brave for this to be useful, you're going to be in a lot of trouble because you need to be doing a lot of damage. And how that boss gets to that point, there aren't many bosses that get to that point where they just get to high amounts of brave by themselves. They're usually breaking you or doing lots of damage, and that's why I find her to be very situational. I think she's kind of decent for like a couple bosses, but she doesn't become a synergy character for a very long time. Like a very long time. And she's only been a synergy character once in JP. And consider that JP is a year ahead, that shows you how little Yuffie is good. And even in the event that she is in, she's not that good. So Yuffie, the Oritsuru, I know I said I'd give 1 to 5, but this one honestly is a 0. If you get this and this is your 1 out of 11, I'll reroll. I'll reroll there and then. I wouldn't bother. I'll just go, nope, reroll, start again from scratch. Doesn't matter, because it's not good enough, personally, in my opinion. It's not good enough to do anything for you short term. It's not good enough for you long term either. Okay. Next, we go on to the Falchion. Now, Terra is a very, very, very good character, and the Falchion is an icing on the cake for her. So, one of the good things about it is that, you know, because it's a weapon for Terra, her brave goes up, and you want to have a really high max brave, because that's what makes Terra so good. Because when you use Meltdown, you'll gain some brave, and then you'll also a HP attack. No brave damage whatsoever, so it's just a HP attack. Now, when you have the Falchion, what happens is you gain brave, and then you gain some more brave after that. And that means that you can do high amounts of damage. You can hit your cap very easily with this weapon, and that's what makes it a really, really good weapon. Terra is one of the best characters in the game. So if you get this, in my opinion, is probably one of the best relics on the banner, if not the best. And out of 5, I give it 5 out of 5. Terra comes back in the battle Firion. She is the other synergy character alongside Edge, and that's another chance to get this Falchion. If you want to have a really, really OP Terra, you want to have this passive max. So, if you can, guys, like, I'd be very happy with this weapon. And if it's one of the weapons you want to shoot for, if you get this weapon, I wouldn't recommend against rerolling. I would say stay with that because it's a good weapon. It's a really good weapon, and Terra is a very good character. She is just really good at doing lots of HP damage. So she's kind of like Bartz in the sense that Bartz is about brave, Terra is about HP. Terra is very good for that. So in my opinion, as someone who has Terra maxed out on the JP account, she's a good character. She's a character worth it. So if you get this weapon, once again, I want to keep reiterating this. It's a good weapon to have. The Orichalcum Dirk. This one, it increases the duration of Penelo's buff for her first dance, and short term, this is a really good weapon. Like, I had this and this carried me through a lot of early content because it gives haste and attack up. So essentially, for the record keeper players out there, this is the shout. Now, it's not as game breaking as shout was, but it does help out a lot. It's a really good weapon. Like, the speed and attack means that you can get a lot more turns with your enemy attacks, and if you're breaking them, it's really good. And you get attack boost as well, so you're doing lots of damage. So you'll be hitting your max brave cap quite well with this. And overall, I think this is a good weapon. Penelo is one of the characters that, funny enough, she comes back quite a lot in events. Like, for the early part of the game, Penelo comes back, and this weapon comes back like at least 3 separate times in a short space of while. So the first time that Penelo does come back is a Thyrus event, and that weapon is really key here because you face a boss that is, in my opinion, at that point in the game, is the hardest boss. Like, it's the absolute hardest boss. And so, if you get this, I'd be happy with this. It loses its worthability over time. So long term wise, it's not that good, but for the short term, it's a really good weapon. So out of 5 stars, I give this a 4 out of 5 for short term. So it's a really, really good weapon. If you do pull it, be happy with it, and just make sure you make Penelo a level up. She'll make your characters really good with it. Next is Dragon Claw. This one is, in my opinion, not a good weapon short term or long term. It increases the brave damage from kick and then deals more HP to non-targets, because the whole thing about Yang is that he's an AoE attacker-ish, is that you use kick to deal lots of brave damage to the whole party, and then you hit your cap and you lots of damage to your main target, and then you splash damage to the side targets as well. This Yang, funny enough, we're talking about Penelo. Yang is the character that is the other synergy character for the Thyrus event. So it's Thyrus, Penelo, and Yang. And Yang isn't that good, in my opinion, short term, but he does get a lot better long term. So that's the one thing to look out for. But this one is not great, so if you do pull it, I recommend rerolling for something else. I don't think it's that good, and out of 5, I give it 1.5. I don't think it's that good. I don't think it's even. I think it's decent in the event it's in, and depending on how global we'll do it, because in JP you had like the next level, the level 70 battle, and that was really hard, and Yang just couldn't keep up. It was really hard to know when to HP attack with Yang and use kick. And that's kind of why it was very. That's kind of reasons why Penelo was so good, because increased your speed, it meant that you could attack afterwards, and you didn't face being broken. And in that event, you don't want to get broken. You do not want to get broken, because you'll get killed very easily if you get broken. That's why I can make recommendations. But yeah, this is not a great weapon. So if you pull it and you don't get anything else, re-roll. The Onion Knight's Ancient Sword. Onion Knight is a character that recently got quite good in JP. Like, he got really good. So this Ancient Sword here, it's a good weapon. It's, for me personally, I don't notice the dramatic attack bonus that you get from Onion Knight's Sage boost. And Onion Knight, if I recall correctly, he doesn't become a synergy character until quite a bit after the Rams event. So he's not someone who comes up in events that often, but after that, from when he becomes a synergy character, he becomes a synergy character again quite shortly afterwards. So in that sense, if you do pull this, you won't be getting any much chances to make this better. It doesn't recur very often. It's a decent weapon. Enemies who are ice weak get obliterated by this, absolutely obliterated by this. So that's one thing to note. And it's good because when you don't have this, you have to use Blizzard combo 3 times to get up to stage 3. But with this, you only need to use it twice. So in that sense, I think that this is a good weapon overall. And it's not the best. It's not amazing. So if you pull it, you will have to pull all of other good stuff in order to not reroll. But if this is like the main thing that you get, I recommend rerolling. Out of 5, I give this a 2. It's not amazing. It's not that good, but it's decent. It's decent. It's decent. It's not just. The problem with Onion Knight is that he doesn't really get featured much until like way after when the exclusive meta comes in. So up until then, he's okay, and you get him quite late as well. You get Onion Knight quite late. The Fuma Shuriken. Now, what this happens is when you use Shadow Stealth, your brave is multiplied by 1.4, and if you kill an enemy, then you get an attack boost for 10 turns. So on paper, this sounds like a really good weapon, but in practicality, it's okay. It's not amazing. It's good for dealing lots of HP damage. That's one thing, but in order to get the attack up duration, you need to kill the enemy. At least that's how it was in JP. I don't know if Global has put in the recent buff that should have got in JP, where you just get the attack up buff anyway. But if not, then you have to kill enemies to get the attack up buff, and therefore, in my opinion, that kind of really puts it down on this weapon. Shadow is another character who isn't exclusive. He isn't a synergy character for a long time, and then when he is, even after that, he's going to become a synergy character again for a long time either. So, in that sense, short term, it's decent, but you need to be killing enemies. And Shadow is like the last character you get in Chapter 5, so it's a long wait before you can actually use this. And by then, if you're pacing yourself, you won't really be using it, because you'll have good stuff and it'd be hard to fit him in. But if you want to be dealing lots of HP damage, Shadow is your man for that. And for that, I'm giving this weapon a 3 out of 5. The Rune Blade. Now, Steiner is... The whole gimmick around Steiner is that for humanoid enemies, he deals extra damage against them. And the Rune Blade is quite good for that. It's a decent weapon. Unfortunately, because you don't face a lot of humanoid enemies, the potency to be dealing extra damage doesn't really occur that often. But if you do, it does do attack down, and when you have the weapon, it increases the duration of attack down for quite a bunch of turns. I haven't used it in a long time, so I can't remember offhand, but I think it's like 3 turns if you have it. This weapon, Steiner is a exclusive. He's a synergy character in the Tia's event, and he is quite good in that because all the enemies you face are humanoid, so he wrecks and does a lot of damage in that event. And he doesn't come back as a synergy character for a long time. Funny enough, when he does come back to being a synergy character again, he's with Shadow. But you don't face a humanoid enemy in that event. So, once again, come on, devs, really? But this is a decent weapon. It's not amazing. If you do pull it, it's okay. It's not something that you really should be keeping unless you do get a bunch of other weapons. But this is your 1 out of 11. Re-roll. I don't know if I give it... I can't remember if I gave the rating. But if I did, I'd give this weapon a 2.5. But if you're facing humanoid enemies, I give this 4 out of 5. It's really hard to land the attack down without it. So that's the one thing. You get... If you get it... It's down to RNG. I'll tell you that now, because it's I have his exclusive in JP, and I rarely ever get the attack down debuff. But it also increases the power of his power break as well, actually. So you do tons of damage, and the Ogrenix Slaughter is really appropriate against humanoid enemies. That this deals a lot of damage. So Steiner is your go-to man. He's very situational, but he is outside of his situation, outside of his niche. He's okay, but you would never use him other than that. So, yeah. Next up is the Wing Sword. This one is not great. Funny enough, guys, today I pulled this weapon off banner in my JP account. So, woe is me, man. Woe is me. This weapon increases the power of Firion's blood weapon, but you get Firion quite late, and short term wise, it's okay. It's not the best weapon. Again, there are not many good weapons on this banner. Like, there's a lot of it, but there's not many good weapons on this, and Firion doesn't get good up until like long term. So in my long term video where I address this, I'll go into more in depth why this one isn't a great weapon. But for short term, it's decent. It's decent. It improves the power of Firion's blood weapon, which is a brave to HP attack, but it doesn't make it amazing. So, yeah, the multiplier for Firion's blood weapon is really low, really low. So this is not a weapon I recommend personally. If you do pull it, if you don't get anything else, like, I sound like a broken record here, but it really is. If you don't get anything else, re-roll. Out of 5, I give this 1. Out of 1.5. So, yeah, not the best weapon, unfortunately. The Galbadian machine gun. Now, this one's interesting because I only got this weapon, I think, last week in my JP account, and I've been using it, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a solid weapon. I gotta give you that much. Laguna is an AoE brave attacker, so he does AoE damage, and that's about it. But he also does debuffs as well. So grenade does defense down, and that's actually quite good. It does do AoE defense down debuff, and I like it. I like this weapon. I've found to be quite good with it, and before I didn't have anything for Laguna, so I thought it was terrible. But my opinion on him is changing. But one thing to note about doing AoE brave damage is something I didn't cover in my starter guide. With the brave damage, if you break all enemies, you only get a break bonus for the one time, and that's it. So if you break 3 enemies, you're only getting 1 brave bonus. So don't get excited on that, guys. And that's the one forewarning I will give about that. But this does, as a support weapon, this is a really good weapon. And Laguna will get another weapon later on, and I think that weapon is fantastic. Like, I really tried to get it, and I never get it. But I think it's a really good weapon. But overall, I'd give this a 3, maybe 3.5. I think it's a good weapon. And Laguna comes up quite soon as an event character, so this weapon does come back. He is the synergy character for the Setzer event. But the problem is for Laguna is that you don't get him to quite late. So, little tip here, guys. You kind of want to get through because the Setzer event has a very annoying boss. Like, a very, very annoying boss. So, you really want that defense down duration. Like, if you can, because that boss is such a pain. But yeah, this is a solid weapon all around. It's a good supporting weapon, so this will make your attackers that little bit better. So in my opinion, it's a solid, good round weapon. Deathbringer. This weapon, Cecil is a better AoE attacker with his weapon than Laguna. But the problem with Cecil is that you have to be very mindful of the HP loss that he does when you do use this. But when you do use this, and you have it, you get a max brave up. And that means that one of the things about AoE attackers is because you do so much damage and get so much brave, you hit your cap quite easily. But with Cecil, he makes his cap that little bit higher, and that is really good. I think this is a good all-round weapon. You have to be mindful when using Cecil, but I think it's a good weapon. But really, it's another good weapon that's a very supporting weapon. So you kind of really want to have something else, like a more attacker-based character, or more or less you want Cloud. So yeah. So overall, this weapon is decent. It's a good supporting weapon, but it's not the main star. So unless you get another weapon that's more attack focused for someone else, it's okay. It's decent, and it will carry you for quite a bit of content. Overall, likely gonna give this one a 3 star, or yeah, 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. And Cecil, I'm trying to think. When does Cecil come? If I recall correctly, he doesn't come a synergy character up until after. So that's one problem I have with Cecil. That's one problem I have with him. But yeah, if you don't get this weapon now, it'll be a while before he comes back again. So if you really want to use Cecil and stuff like that, yeah, get it now and then be happy. But if not, be mindful of waiting. Like I said, the 2-turn max brave goes a lot quicker than you think, by the way. Goes a lot quicker than you think. Warrior of Light Enhancer. I think this is a great weapon. I think defensively, this is like one of the best weapons in the game. Short term and long term. Like overall, I think this is a phenomenal weapon. I think it's really good for what it does. Because basically it gives everyone protection. And when it increases their brave as well. And that is good. Because one of the tactics I do use is like if I've run out of ability uses for my attackers, then I use Shining Shield, and then they get some more brave as well, and that is really good. So Warrior of Light doesn't come as a synergy character till a long time once again as well for some reason. He doesn't really feature much as a synergy character, but I don't know how Global's going to handle banners, but in JP, this weapon came up quite a bit and reoccurred. So, if you get this, rejoice. It's a good weapon. Defensively, it's probably one of the best weapons in the game. So, yeah. I give this 4 out of 5. But you do need an attacking weapon as well to go alongside it. If not, the only weakness that you do have is that it doesn't really protect you against enemies who hate to be attacked quite often. And one of the annoyances that bosses do is that if they are struggling against you, like the moment their brave goes back to normal, they will HP attack you, and this does nothing to go against that because it doesn't do HP recovery, unfortunately. If it did HP recovery, this weapon would be broken. It would be too good. But that's the one thing to be mindful of when using this weapon. But short-term wise, it gives your character so much protection, making sure that you can take more risks with the weapon because it reduces the chances of you getting broken. But you have to be very mindful of the 5-turn duration and buffs, because if characters get too many buffs, they can't override the buff. And if you lose the Shine Shield buff, then you lose the Shine Shield completely. So that's one thing to note about. But overall, it's a regular weapon, so 4 out of 5 for me. The Oak Staff. Now, this one it's decent. It is decent. It's not amazing. It increases the power of fire, and there are quite a few enemies who are weak to fire, funny enough. Like, in the Squall event, the boss is weak to fire, so if Vivi's fire does a lot of damage against him, so that's one thing to know. But other than that, it does a lot of brave damage, so breaking enemies with fire is very good. That's one thing I do like about it. But it doesn't have any other effects other than that. It's a solid weapon once again. For single target use, Vivi is really good with that. So, other than that, yeah. Vivi isn't a synergy character for a long time. I think, actually, funny enough, he has become like a synergy character until after I think a few events after Ramza, and then after that, it's a long wait before he becomes a synergy character again. So, if you're a fan of Vivi and you want to get Vivi stuff, yeah, this is one of the weapons you get from the starting ticket draw anyway. So if you do get this, don't be too discouraged. The good thing about this is that you will be breaking enemies with ease, the greatest of ease. Like, if you do get that. So Oak Staff, pretty decent. I would give this 3. That's probably the FF9 fanboy in me being favoritist. And if there are enemies who are weak against fire, I give this probably 4, because it just rips through their brave with ease. You will hit your cap so easily with it. So overall, it's a good weapon. Survival Edges. So it increases the HP recovery of Cure. Rem isn't a synergy character until the same time as Warrior of Light, so it's a long wait. And this depends on your playstyle. Like, you don't want to be taking HP damage, and if that's the case, you'll be quite mindful of that. So, unfortunately, this weapon isn't that good for that reason, and that there are bosses that don't deal that much HP damage, and if you're taking HP damage, signs are you're not ready for the boss that you're facing, and you really should just be training instead of just trying to do it. But if you want to go ahead and you want to be quite reckless, then yeah. This is good with Cecil. This is really good with Cecil because you can just recover Cecil's HP. But when you're using Cecil, you're not using Cecil to do long battles. You're using Cecil to win battles as quickly as you can. So for that note, this one is not the best. Unfortunately, even though a lot of people have been saying this is my waifu only gets 1 out of 5. It's not a good weapon. Reroll if you do get it and you don't get anything else. It's not the best weapon. Gosh, my voice is like going now. How many got left? Okay, so not many left after that. Altair. Now, Sazh, unfortunately, is one of the worst characters in the game. The Altair increases the power of aim, and if your opponent has a debuff and you use aim, then you get a defense buff as well. So that's good. And that's the whole thing about aim. It's like if the enemy has a debuff, then you get attack up, and with this increases the duration of it. But if you get this weapon, re-roll. This is another battle weapon, and I give this 1 out of 5. Sazh is a synergy character for the TS event and hasn't been one since, which says all you need to know about how good he is or how good he isn't. This is not a good weapon, so if you do pull it and you don't get anything else, re-roll. Tiger Fang, I would say Tiger Claw. This one's okay. It's okay. Tifa, she is the skeleton attacker, but the thing is, skeleton enemies are very easy. They can only HP attack you once they use what the game called brace. So in that sense, not great. Not great. Unfortunately for you, Tifa. But it does increase the power of Beat Rush. Beat Rush is a decent move. It does give a attack down debuff as well, and increases duration for quite a long time. But guys, if Global follows JP's pattern, Tifa is part of the squad event as a synergy character, so this weapon does come back. So if you get this and it's the only one you get, I say reroll, because you got a better chance of getting it in the Squall banner than you do here. And there are better relics on this banner. So for me, this one is it's decent. It's not amazing. You don't face that many skeleton enemies in the game, period, for this to be that good. So it'll get you through, but once again, it's not really that amazing. So I'm giving this 2.5 out of 5. Okay. Ogrenix! My gosh. Why do they not call it Ogrenix? This weapon is called Ogrenix everywhere else, but not here. Ogrenix. For the name aside, it's not getting 5 stars. I'm joking. This weapon is up there with being the best weapon of this banner. The best weapon to get you through the short term, because it increases the power of Cross Slash, which is a 2-hit brave to HP attack, and increases the rate that you paralysis. This weapon, I recommend the weapon that you re-roll for until you get this weapon. This weapon will carry you through pretty much a lot of content. It's good for the it's good in and out of events. So it doesn't matter whether or not Kyle's a synergy character or not, this weapon is good because that paralysis is fantastic. There aren't that many bosses short term that are resistant to paralysis. So use away. The paralysis on bosses is just too good to pass up. Guys, this is the weapon you reroll for. I'm going to say this again. This is the weapon you reroll for. This one is fantastic. It is easily 5 out of 5. In fact, it's 10 out of 5. It's that good. It's that good. Short term is so good. Long term as well. Because paralysis is the best debuff in the game, in my opinion. Because making a boss skip their turn means that if they recover their brave and when they skip and they lose their turn, you can break them again. Like, I've seen videos where people just get lucky with the paralysis and the boss does nothing against them. This is the best weapon in the game. Organics, screw you devs, I'm not calling it Organics. Organics is de facto the best weapon on this banner. Absolutely good. Get it, guys. Reroll for it. That is my opinion. Skycutter. Okay, guys, so we finally come across a weapon that I don't actually have. I don't have the Skycutter. I think I have Hope's exclusive, so yeah. But this one is it's overall it's a good weapon. It's not the best, but it's decent. Like Hope back in the day, his shell could only hit one person, so unfortunately it was bad. But now that Hope it comes in with AoE, this gives AoE attack up to everyone. It gives shells that reduces the damage they take from magical attacks, and it gives Brave as well. And the Brave boost you get depends on I think it's either your attack or your max Brave. So this will increase both. So that means that you'll be getting more Brave. So overall, this is a decent weapon. Like, it's a decent weapon. I like it. And overall, Hope is a decent character. He fizzles out long term, unfortunately. But overall, I think Hope is for a short term, he's a good character. And what I used to do was I used to combine this with Penelo, and I used to just go through content quite easily. Like if you guys see, even like it's my JP videos, I have Hope and Penelo. And I don't know if Global has the situation where buffs are overridden, if it's the same one. But if not, then this combines really well with Penelo. Because it just means that you take less damage, you're getting lots of haste, and you're doing really well. And Hope, he comes back in the Vanille event, which is like one of the very early, it's one of the first 3 events. So in that sense, if you don't get it, this is not a big deal. It comes back, and if you get it with something else like an attacking weapon, it's a really good support weapon. So overall, I'm giving this a 3 out of 5. Oh, just one thing to know about Cloud Organic is the Cloud is so good that he really ever is a Shinji character. He really ever is. I think off the top of my head, Cloud's been a Shinji character once. And that is not until way after Ramza event. So that's one thing to know about Cloud. He's that good that they couldn't give him synergy. He would just wreck the bosses. So Thyrus. Thyrus is another weapon that is one of the top tier weapons. It increases the power of stone, and if you break with stone, that enemy is delayed for 2 turns. 2 turns. When JP debuted this game, you had Cloud and Isola as weapons on the same banner, and that made early content so easy if you could get paralysis, because you just delay the enemy, you paralyze them, you delay them, the turn took ages to come around, so then after that you would just hit them and you just break them quite easily. But overall, this is a fantastic weapon. It makes stone a very powerful weapon, and it gives defense down for 1 turn. So for that 1 turn, you can deal quite a lot of damage to the enemy. So it's really good for bosses, and overall one of the best weapons on this banner. So if you get it, it's a good weapon. You should be happy with it. I give this weapon 4 out of 5. I think it's a really good weapon. And Isola, she comes back on the push event with King, so she steals the show in that sense. And one of the other funny things about this weapon is that if you get it, because it increases Isola's max Brave, it makes her Medakara even better. So it stealthily supports the ability of her second ability, and Isola's Medakara is really good early game, because you just summon with Isola, you start giving Brave to your allies, and you hit attack, and you do so much damage in a short space of time. And the thing about it is, when the summon ends, Istella's Brave keeps being that high, so you just keep giving your allies a lot of Brave, and you just decimate bosses. So short term, Isola is one of the best characters in the game So in my opinion, this is a really good weapon to get. So, and that's why I rate it so highly. And funny enough, Istola, post Ramza, she comes back quite a few times. So people, the devs obviously quite liked her, so I like her too. And yeah, that's just my opinion on it. The Zwill Crossblade, the Way of the Thief. This weapon is another weapon that I think is a really good weapon. I think this is a really underrated weapon, because what happens is it increases the power to the Circle 5, and it gives a speed down debuff, and it increases the speed down and speed up duration that Zidane deals to the opponent and he gets himself. So early game, it's really good, because when a boss is slow, the turn takes ages to come around, and when that happens, guess what you guys are doing? You're hitting them multiple times over and over again. They can't do much against you. If you have Penelo, you're just going to be decimating bosses because you just get too many turns before they can do anything. But, guys, Zidane is one of the synergy characters with Squall and Tifa, and that's the first event. So this weapon comes back, and it's a better chance of putting it there. So in my honest opinion, don't go all out for this weapon. If you can, just wait till the Squall event, because you get a better chance of getting it there, and in my opinion, that's when you should just be going for that weapon. Oops. So overall, Zidane, funny enough, is a synergy character again on the Rams event, and gets it exclusive then, and it's there and then. So, whew. So this weapon will come back a few times. It's a good weapon, in my opinion. Zidane isn't like the best character, but this weapon shoots him quite up, and that speed down debuff is really good. Overall, I give this weapon 3.5 out of 5. I think it's quite a decent weapon, and goes quite a bit. Vaan's Platinum Sword. Vaan is another top tier character. His Greater Red Spiral, that buff boost is really good. It gives the attack duration as well, which is also very good as well. Sorry. With that sense, with Vaan, you'll be doing a lot of HP damage, and then it just increases the. It should be. I don't know if it knows it, but it should be increasing the brave power of the follow-up attack when you use Red Spiral, which is, I believe, I think it's Whiteout. I don't quote me on that. I think it's Whiteout. So yeah, so that makes that attack really good. You deal so much damage with Vaan. He is almost on level with Terra, with being one of the best HP attackers in the game. But the problem with Vaan is a character that you need to have your party set up to beat a boss as quickly as possible. Vaan is a very good character for that, but for long-term battles he's terrible, because if you can't kill the boss, then you run out of ability uses, and he just becomes a normal standard attacker. And in that sense, he's not that great. But if you want to speed kill a boss, Vaan is your man. So in that sense, I give this weapon 5 out of 5. I think it's fantastic for what it needs to do. And Vaan is not a synergy character for ages as well. So this is probably your last chance to get it. So if you don't get this weapon here, it'll be a long wait unless Global decides to bring it back in one of his weekly banners. But overall, this is a really good weapon to have. So if you get it, it's really good. It's up there being one of the top tier rigs on this banner. So if you get it, be happy with it. Sparrow Hide. Now, I like this weapon because what has happened is it turns Snap Punch into an actually decent attack, and you increase the duration of your attack and speed up duration. Now, that is good. This Snap Punch is a really good attack because it deals so many hits, and it means that you've got a good chance of breaking the enemy when you use it. And the way Ida's abilities and passives set up is for you to be spamming Snap Punch. And when you're doing that, you're increasing damage to Snap Punch. The attack up and speed up buff means that you're doing more damage, your turn comes around quicker, and overall, you are dealing a lot of damage. Ida's Sparrow Hide is a very good weapon in my opinion. I think it's a short term one of the best weapons. Ida comes back though as the synergy character alongside Ico and Bartz, so if you don't get it here, don't worry. Just wait until then and get it there. If you can, that is. If RNG is nice like that. But yeah, this is a good weapon overall. And I think if you get it, you should be happy with it. I give this weapon 4 out of 5. And finally, the Astral Rod. What this does is it turns Yuna's Asuna into AoE. Now that is really good because you face mad borrows in this game, and if you get hit by bad breath is a very bad attack to get hit by, because it gives so many debuffs that your characters won't be doing anything if you get hit by it. And Yuna is like the Malboro counter. Like if you have Yuna against a Malboro, that Malboro is pretty much dead source. Yuna is a Shinji character in the vanilla event, so this does come back. So if you miss out on it, you can get it again. This is a good weapon to have. It really is, because it turns it's an AoE, and debuffs can get quite annoying. But Yuna clears out all debuffs. Any debuff the character has, she just assumes it away. So overall, this is a good weapon, and I give it 3.5 out of 10. 3.5 out of 5, not 10. 3.5. It's a good weapon to have. So if you do get, it's a really good supporting weapon, and it means that when you're using it, you can heal more Braves to the party. But yeah, that is my short-term guide, guys. That took a long time, 45 minutes to do. Like, there's just so many weapons on this banner. And, oh gosh, my voice is starting to go a bit because of how long I've been talking. But I hope this guide's been a good use to you. I thank you if you got this far to the end. I hope it's been insightful to you. I hope it's answered some of the questions you may have and how you feel about the relics you have pulled. Anyway, guys, if you have any more questions, anything you feel I didn't go over, ask away. I try to answer the questions as soon as I can, and I like interacting with you guys, so please ask as many questions you like. Like, I like it. I like that you guys have all been passionate about this game and you're all loving it, and that pleases me greatly. Anyway, this is Let's Play. Subscribe if you haven't. I do lots of Opera Omnia content. God, my tongue's getting twisted already. And I keep content as well, but Opera Omnia is like my main game now. This is like the game that I'm investing more into than Ricky Keeper. So if you need any help, any advice, just ask. Subscribe, ask away. If not, you don't have to subscribe. I answer people anyway. I like talking to people about this game. I love this game a lot. So anyway, this is Let's Play. I've been talking for too long. I need some H2O. So I'm going to go get a drink. Alright, bye-bye.